The ancient Stoics, often misunderstood because the terms they use pertain to different concepts in the past than they do today. The word Stoic has come to mean unemotional or indifferent to pain, because Stoic ethics taught freedom from passion by following reason. The Stoics did not seek to extinguish emotions, rather they sought to transform them by a resolute asceticism that enables a person to develop clear judgment and inner calm. Logic, reflection, concentration were the methods of such self-discipline. Borrowing from the Cynics, the foundation of Stoic ethics is that good lies in the state of the soul itself. In wisdom and self-control, Stoic ethics express the rule: follow where reason leads, not follow where passion, follow where reason leads. One must therefore strive to be free of the passions. Bear in mind that the ancient meaning of passion was anguish and suffering, that is passively reacting to external events, which is somewhat different from the modern use of the word. A distinction was made between pathos, plural pathe, which is normally translated as passion, propathos, or instinctive reaction, and turning pale and trembling when confronted by physical danger, and eupathos, which is the mark of the Stoic sage Sophus. The eupathia are feelings that result from correct judgment in the same way as passions result from incorrect judgment. The idea was to be free of suffering through apatheia, or peace of mind, literally without passion, where peace of mind was understood in the ancient sense, being objective or having clear judgment, and the maintenance of equanimity in the face of life's highs and lows. For the Stoics, reason meant not only using logic but also understanding the processes of nature, the logos, or universal reason, inherent in all things. Living according to reason, virtue, they held, is to live in harmony with the divine order of the universe, in recognition of the common reason and essential value of all people. The four cardinal virtues of the Stoic philosophy is a classification derived from the teachings of Plato: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Following Socrates, the Stoics held that unhappiness and evil are the results of human ignorance of the reason in nature. If someone is unkind, it is because they are unaware of their own universal reason, which leads to the conclusion of kindness. The solution to evil and happiness is the practice of Stoic philosophy, to examining one's own judgment and behavior and determining where they diverge from the universal reason of nature. The Stoics accepted that suicide was permissible for the wise person in circumstances that might prevent them from living a virtuous life. Plutarch held that accepting life under tyranny would have compromised Cato's self-consistency, constantia, as a Stoic, and impaired his freedom to make the honorable moral choices. Suicide could be justified if one fell victim to severe pain or disease, but otherwise suicide would usually be seen as a rejection of one's own social duty. Okay, so let's read up a little on cynicism. Cynicism philosophy. Cynicism is a school of ancient Greek philosophy as practiced by the Cynics. For the Cynics, the purpose of life was to live in virtue, in agreement with nature. As reasoning creatures, people could gain happiness by rigorous training, by living in a way which was natural for themselves, rejecting unconventional desires for wealth, power, sex, and fame. Instead, they were to lead a simple life free from all passions, from all possessions. The first philosopher to outline these themes was Antisthenes, who had been a pupil of Socrates in the late 5th century BC. It was followed by Diogenes of Sinope, who lived in a tub on the streets of Athens. Diogenes took cynicism to its logical extremes and came to be seen as the archetypal Cynic philosopher. He was followed by Crates of Thebes, who gave away a large fortune so he could live a life of Cynic poverty in Athens. Cynicism spread with the rise of Imperial Rome in the 1st century, and Cynics could be found begging and preaching throughout the cities of the empire. He finally disappeared in the late 5th century, although similar ascetic and rhetorical ideas appear in early Christianity. By the 19th century, emphasis on negative aspects of Cynic philosophy led to modern understanding of cynicism to mean a disposition of disbelief in the sincerity or goodness of human motives and actions. I'm finding this text to be actually very cringy. Both of them, really. Stoicism has, in the final parts, a talk about Christianity, and it seems to abuse of wrong, false ideology that Christianity is not something that see God as really apart from the universe. The thing is, the universe is a word that describes everything, all of it. And since it happens within the control of a simulator like God, then certainly pantheism is the answer for these philosophical problems. So let's read this article before the next one about cynicism. Christianity. The major difference between the two philosophies, social and spiritual, is pantheism, in which God is never fully transcendent but always immanent. It's not never fully transcendent. Pantheism doesn't define God as never fully transcendent. Okay, God as the word creating entity is personalized in Christian thought, but stoicism equates God with the totality of the universe, which was deeply contrary to Christianity. Certainly not. It's absolutely impossible. You can't be a Christian and believe that God is not the totality. You can't be a Christian and believe that there is something that is not part of an infinite being that creates universes. If he's creating universes, then he must be from Aristotle's argument about how the universe was created and everything, and it's basically an argument for the existence of God. From that argument, you have to be a pantheism. You have to say things are only hold together. There are only physical laws because there is another thing that is bigger and it contains this visible universe. Thus, there is pantheism. The only incarnation, okay, let's read that. The only incarnation in Stoicism is that each person has part of a logos within. Stoicism, unlike Christianity, does not pose at beginning or end to the universe. The logos is a Greek word that means reason, like the logic. Logic is something almost like God. The logos. Stoicism was later regarded by the fathers of the church as a pagan philosophy. Well, fucking hell. Nonetheless, some of the central philosophical concepts of Stoicism were employed by the early Christian writers. No shit. Examples include the term logos, virtue, spirit, and conscience. Yes, John, the Gospel of John says that in the beginning, God was the Word, and it's a translation of logos. In the beginning, God was logos, and logos was God. Virtue, spirit, and conscience. Okay, but the parallels go well beyond the sharing and borrowing of terminology. Both Stoicism and Christianity certainly in freedom in the face of external world. We believe in human kinship with nature, a God, a sense of the innate depravity of persistent evil of humankind, and the futility and temporality of worldly possessions and attachments. It's certainly Christian concepts. This is one of the things that makes you a Christian if you start believing in them. Both encourage asceticism with respect to the passions and inferior emotions such as lust and envy, so that the higher possibilities of one's humanity can be awakened and developed. Stoic writings such as Meditations of Marcus Aurelius have been highly regarded by many Christians throughout the centuries. The Stoic idea of this passion is accepted to this day as a perfect moral state by the Eastern Orthodox Church. Saint Ambrose of Milan was known for applying Stoic philosophy for his theology. Yeah, I certainly don't believe you can end suffering in your life. So I am certainly against Buddhism, and if some Stoic in the past had the same idea, I'm certainly against him. But if that's not the case, then certainly Stoicism is almost like a description of Christianity. Influences the Apostle Paul met with Stoics during his stay in Athens, reported in Acts 17, 16, 18. In his letters, Paul reflected heavily from his knowledge of Stoic philosophy, using Stoic terms and metaphors to assist his new Gentile converts in their understanding of the revealed Word of God. So certainly, we can't be against Stoics. Stoic influence can also be seen in the works of Saint Ambrose, Marcus, Minucius, Felix, and Tertullian. Admiral James Stockdale, who was shot down over North Vietnam, held as a prisoner and repeatedly tortured, was deeply influenced by Epictetus after being introduced to his works while at Stanford University. As he parachuted down from his plane, he reportedly said to himself, "I'm leaving the world of technology and entering the world of Epictetus." Wow, that's amazing. Modern usage, the word Stoic commonly refers to someone indifferent to pain, pleasure, grief, or joy. I'd say we are mostly the way I see, if I'm if I'm to be considered a Stoic, I would define myself as someone that desensitizes himself to pain due to daily and daily, constant, and voluntary exposure. Just like someone who has anhedonia, that is the inability to feel pleasure, has it because he's seeking pleasure every day, and then he starts to develop some fetishes. He then starts to exhibit the behavior of depressed person. He feels too comfortable in bed to get up and go to work, or even to go to the bathroom. He will only go to the bathroom when he really starts to get bothered with the feeling, the urge to take a piss, in the example. The modern usage as person who represses feelings or endures patiently was first cited in 1579 as a noun and 1596 as an adjective. In contrast to the term Epicurean, the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy's entry on Stoicism notes, the sense of the English adjective stoical is not usually misleading with regard to its philosophical origins. However, modern Stoicism also refers to the application of ancient Stoic principles in modern life. Stoicism was always meant to be a practical philosophy to be applied rather than debated. Stoic themes have also appeared in the writings of Tim Ferriss. You see, that's someone I don't like. That's Tim Ferriss fellow is mostly a sophist in my experience. Let's read up on him. Okay, Tim Ferriss, born July 20, 1977, is an American author, entrepreneur, and public speaker. He has written a number of self-help books, which have appeared in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and the USA Today bestseller list, starting the autist title of The 4-Hour Work Week. That's fucking autistic. There is also an angel investor or an advisor to Facebook, Twitter. Oh, all right, let's stop this. It's a madness. The Wikipedia article is not even so big. Okay, let's read about his 3 major books. Those are the 4-Hour Work Week, the 4-Hour Body, the 4-Hour Chef, and there's another one that I didn't know until right now. That's called Tools of Titans. Okay, let's read them up. The 4-Hour Work Week first developed the ideas presenting the 4-Hour Work Week while working 14-hour days at Brain Quicken, whatever the fuck that is. The 4-Hour Work Week was rejected by 25 publishers. Oh shit. In 2007, Random House, its 26th publisher, released the book through its Crown imprint. Before release, Ferriss was an unknown, and that's the end of sentence. I never heard a sentence like this. Was an unknown. Wow, unknown is a noun. I didn't know about it. He marketed the book heavily through bloggers with whom he created personal relationships. Yeah, I think I expected something like that. The 4-Hour Work Week would reach #1 on the New York Times bestseller list, #1 on the Wall Street Journal bestseller list, and #1 on the Business Week bestseller list. It has currently sold over 1,350,000 copies and has spent nearly 4 years on the New York Times bestseller list because everybody's fucking retarded. That's why. The book received both positive and negative reviews. Leslie Garner. Yeah, I want you to hear about the negative reviews. Leslie Garner of the Telegraph noted that, with a punchy writing style and a high literacy level, I bet this is a positive review. Yeah, what a fucking waste of time. Okay, let's see the 4-Hour Body. In December 2010, Ferriss' second book, The 4-Hour Body, An Uncommon Guide to Rapid Fat Loss, Incredible Sex, what the fuck? This is not Stoic. And Becoming Superhuman, okay, that's not Stoic at all. Was published by Crown. The book covers more than 50 topics, including rapid fat loss. Why does it have to be so fucking quick? Rapid. That's no way possible. Increasing strength, boosting endurance, and polyphasic sleep. Polyphasic sleep certainly is bullshit. Ferris also introduces his version of his low-carb diet, which involves elimination of starches and anything sweet, including fruit and all artificial sweeteners, and a strong preference for lean protein, legumes, and vegetables. For the book, Ferris interviewed more than 200 experts over a 3-year period. The experts range from doctors to athletes to black market drug salesmen. He said that he had recorded every workout he had done since the age of 18, and from 2004, 3 years before his first book was published, he had tracked a variety of blood chemistry measurements, including insulin levels, hemoglobin A1C, and free testosterone. In the book, Ferris wrote about using anabolic steroids. Wow. Okay, that's cool. Especially a number of low-dose therapies, including testosterone cypionate, the medical supervision following shoulder surgery, as well as using stacks consistent of testosterone enanthate, sustanon 250, ADHD, decadurabolin, citamel, and other unnamed ingredients while training. Well, this seems to be a I don't know. This seems interesting enough. Let's check it. Background, synopsis, reception, yeah. CNN, Huffington Post. Yeah, I'm kind of pissed already. Background, Ferris' first book and the one that made him well known was The 4-Hour Workweek. Two facts inform his choice for his new book topic. Firstly, he felt he did not want to write another book on business. As I've said what I have to say about business, I don't want to be the 4-hour week guy. Okay, I prefer to be known for the way I approach the craft of writing and storytelling. Secondly, of the top 10 Google searches bringing visitors to his weblog, first searches were some variation of lose weight, but as he put it, left him with no option B. My next book was going to be The 4-Hour Body, or I wasn't going to write another book. Okay, seems like a good idea to make some money. Yeah, I've spent 3 years interviewing about over 200 experts, from doctors to athletes to black market drug salesmen. He claims to have recorded every workout he had done since the age of 18, and from 2004, 3 years before his first book was published, he had tracked a variety of blood chemistry measurements, including insulin levels, hemoglobin A1C, and free testosterone. Wow, no new information. This is fucking bullshit. Okay, let's close this fucking shit. Let's go back to cynicism, shall we? Cynicism and Christianity. Jesus as a Jewish cynic. Some historians have noted the similarities between the teachings of Jesus and those of the cynics. Some scholars have argued that the Q document, a hypothetical common source for the Gospels of Mark, Matthew, and Luke, has strong similarities to the teachings of the cynics. Scholars on the quest for the historical Jesus, such as Burton L., Mark, and John Dominic Crossan of the Jesus Seminar, have argued that 1st century AD Galilee was a world in which Hellenistic ideas collided with Jewish thought and traditions. The city of Gadara, on a day's walk from Nazareth, was particularly notable as a center of cynic philosophy, and Mack has described Jesus as a rather normal cynic type figure. For Crosnan, Jesus was more like a cynic sage from a Hellenist Jewish tradition than either a Christ who died as a substitute for sinners or a Messiah who wanted to establish an independent Jewish state of Israel. Other scholars doubt that Jesus was deeply influenced by the cynics and see the Jewish prophetic tradition as a much greater importance. Yeah, certainly, it's certainly more like the Torah teachings, because it's well known that ancient Hebrews, ancient Jews, were a people of many races. Many were blonde, and many were of such Nordic features. I don't know the other variations, but I assume that these were the noble ones. And Jesus was described as a blonde man, along with his mother, and he had bright eyes. And this is coming from a Roman source. So I don't think there should be a difference, since it's the same race. I don't think there should be a difference from the teachings of white people from Europe, from South Europe, in the case of Rome, and the teachings of white people from the Middle East, right? Since they are the same race. Okay, cynic influences on early Christianity. Many of the ascetic practices of cynicism may have been adopted by early Christians, and Christians often employ the same rhetorical methods as the cynics. Some cynics were martyred for speaking out against authorities. One cynic, Peregrinus Proteus, lived for a time as a Christian before converting to cynicism, whereas in the 4th century, Maximus of Alexandria, although a Christian, was also called a cynic because of his ascetic lifestyle. Christian writers would often praise cynic poverty, although they scorn cynic shamelessness. Augustine, stating that they had, in violation of the modest instincts of man, boastfully proclaimed the ugly and shameless opinion worthy indeed of dogs. The ascetic orders of Christianity also had direct connection with the cynics, as can be seen in the wandering mendicant monks of the early church, who, in outward appearance and in many of their practice, differ little from the cynics of an earlier age. Okay, let's see the origin of the cynic name. The name cynic derives from ancient Greek, meaning dog-like, meaning dog, genitive, kainos. One explanation offered in ancient times for why the cynics were called dogs was because the first cynic, Antisthenes, taught in the Cynosarges gymnasium at Athens. The word Cynosarges means the place of a white dog. It seems certain, however, that the word dog was also thrown at the first cynics as an insult for their shameless rejection of conventional manners and their decision to live on the streets. Diogenes, in particular, was referred to as the dog, a distinction he seems to have revelled in, stating that other dogs bite their enemies, I bite my friends, to save them. Later cynics also sought to turn the word to their advantage, as a later commentator explained. There are 4 reasons why the cynics are so named. First, because of the indifference of their way of life, for they make a cult of indifference and, like dogs, eat and make love in public, go barefoot, wow, that's disgusting, and sleep in tubs and at crossroads. The second reason is that the dog is a shameless animal and they make a cult of shamelessness, not as being beneath modesty, but as superior to it. The third reason is that the dog is a good guard and they guard the tenets of their philosophy. The fourth reason is that the dog is a discriminating animal which can distinguish between its friends and enemies. So they recognize as friends those who are suited to philosophy and receive them kindly, while those unfitted they drive away, like dogs, by barking at them. This is a description of Eurico. Philosophy, cynicism, is one of the most striking of all the Hellenistic philosophies. It offered people the possibility of happiness and freedom from suffering in an age of uncertainty. Although there was never an official cynic doctrine, the fundamental principles of cynicism can be summarized as follows. The goal of life is eudaimonia, mental clarity or lucidity. Eudaimonia is happiness, okay? Freedom from smoke, which signified ignorance, mindlessness, and folly and conceit. Eudaimonia is achieved by living in accord with nature as understood by human reason, so basically hippie. No. So basically a university hippie. Arrogance is caused by false judgments of value, which cause negative emotions and natural desires, and a vicious character. All negative thinking, so bad. Eudaimonia of human flourishing depends on self-sufficiency, equanimity, arete, love of humanity, parrhesia, and indifference to the vicissitudes of life. This is a tricky part. Indifference must be attained in a certain way. And that way is confrontation. And that way is not pretending that a problem is not a problem, but instead from constantly looking out for problems. That's the way I see this going anywhere useful. One progresses towards flourishing and clarity through ascetic practices which help one become free from influences such as wealth, fame, and power. Wow, that's so bad. Wealth, fame, and power, they have no value in nature. Wow. Examples include Diogenes' practice of living in a tub and walking barefoot in winter. Well, fucking retard. A cynic practices shamelessness or impudence and deface the norms of society, the laws, customs, and social conventions which people take for granted. Thus, a cynic has no property and rejects all conventional values of money, fame, power, and reputation. A life lived according to nature requires only the bare necessities required for existence, and one can become free by unshackling oneself from any needs which are the result of convention. The Cynics adopted Heracles as the hero. Heracles? Who is Heracles? That can't be Heracles, right? Yeah, it's a fucking Hercules. Yeah, it's fucking Hercules, man. The Cynics adopted Heracles as their hero, as epitomizing the ideal cynic. Heracles was he who brought Cerberus, the Hound of Hades, from the underworld, a point of special appeal to the dogman Diogenes. The dogman! According to Lucian, Cerberus and Cynic are surely related through the dog. What the fuck, man? Why do they keep saying dog? The Cynic way of life required continuous training, not just in exercising judgments, mental impressions, but in physical training as well. Diogenes used to say that there were two kinds of exercise, namely of the mind and that of the body. Oh, no shit. And that the latter of these, creating the mind such quick and agile impressions at the time of its performance, has very much facilitated the practice of virtue. But that one was imperfect without the other, since the health and vigor necessary for the practice of what is good depend equally on both mind and body. Equally on both mind and body. I don't see mind as different from body. I really don't see a difference from mind and body. None of this meant that a cynic would retreat from society. Cynics were in fact live in the full glare of the public's gaze and be quite indifferent in the face of any insults which might result from their unconventional behavior. The cynics are said to have invented the idea of cosmopolitanism, and when he was asked where he came from, Diogenes replied that he was a citizen of the world. Cosmopolites. The ideal cynic would evangelize as the watchdog of humanity. They thought it their duty to harm people about the error of their ways. The example of a cynic's life and the use of a cynic's biting satire would dig up and expose the pretensions which lay at the roots of the everyday convention. Although cynicism concentrated solely on ethics, cynic philosophy had a major impact on the Hellenistic world, ultimately becoming an important influence for stoicism. The Stoic Apollodorus, writing the 2nd century BC, stated that cynicism is a short path to virtue. Pillars of their philosophy were adiaphora, parrhesia, and anidia. An idea, can't make this shit up. Okay, so we keep finding these references to the same thing. Like we see that cynicism is something like stoicism, and cynicism come from basically a bunch of beggars in the streets working out and talking shit, like some pseudo-intellectual shit. And then stoicism comes from, the noble class and them doing something that is deemed to be associated with vigor and leadership, maybe something like that, and military asceticism. So let's read on asceticism. Asceticism comes from the word ascesis. It means exercise or training. It's beautiful. It's a lifestyle characterized by abstinence from worldly pleasures. But this is the description that comes from someone that is not an ascetic. So you're not an ascetic, and you're describing what an ascetic looks like, I don't know, in TV, because probably you never saw an ascetic in your life. Often for the purpose of pursuing spiritual goals. Ascetics may withdraw from the world for their practice or continue to be part of a society, but typically adopt a frugal lifestyle characterized by the renunciation of material possessions and physical pleasures, and time spent fasting while concentrating on the practice of religion or reflection upon spiritual matters. It's just an aspect of it. If it was this simple to describe it, it certainly wouldn't make it such a curious topic. The interesting part of it is not that they it's not that they do this and then feel good about themselves. The interesting part is that they do this and still feel like shit. And if you're not the second case, then you're not really an ascetic. You lost the motive that caused the first change. And then you're stuck with probably a life of poverty and some kind of mental illness, And since it's easy to get stuck, and now that you're poor and having, I don't know, have to eat shit every day, you must find some comfort in thinking that you're better than everyone else. And when you start to think that you're good, and you stop developing your critical thinking, you stop applying it to yourself, it doesn't make sense to call this person ascetic. This person is someone who used to be an ascetic, or probably someone who was deluded with an idea of asceticism because he is, I don't know, he's picking up from some Hollywood movie. The most common idea of ascetic is that of a monk or someone who is starving to death or looks ugly or something. That's certainly not an ascetic. That doesn't define an ascetic. An ascetic can look just like a normal person. Asceticism is a set of actions, probably, and a lifestyle and a way of thinking. If it's a way of thinking, certainly it can't be an appearance. Certainly you can't do hard stuff and then start to feel good about yourself, which is the most tricky thing I see. Asceticism has been historically observed in many religious traditions, including Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. All of them were with white people. All of these are about white people. Let's check it out on Jainism, for example. Okay, Jainism, so that it makes a big impression on you, it has a swastika on its main symbol. It has a fucking swastika. And then there's a fucking lion, and this is called painting the message Anima so parambo dharma. And non-violence is the highest virtue of religion. And it's it's kind of I think it's a white religion. I don't see anyone else doing asceticism. I don't know. You can say that someone like Mongoloids will do it, but if you check their genes, they certainly have some Neanderthal genes. I don't see them as not being genetically similar to whites. Asceticism has been historically observed in many religious traditions, including Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. Mainstream Islam has lacked asceticism. This is important. Mainstream Islam has lacked asceticism except for its minority Sufi sect. It's Sufi. It's not Sunni, okay? Sufi sect, whose long tradition has included strict asceticism. The practitioners of these religions eschewed worldly pleasures and led an abstinent lifestyle in the pursuit of redemption, salvation, or spirituality. Asceticism could be understood as whiteism. It's whiteism, if white has any value at all. Okay, let's see. Zoroastrianism had some asceticism. No, it doesn't have asceticism. Not in the way we see it as fasting, mortification. Taoism, historical evidence suggests that monastic tradition in Taoism practice asceticism. The most common ascetic practice included fasting, complete sexual abstinence, self-imposed poverty, sleep deprivation, and secluding oneself in the wilderness. More extreme and unnatural ascetic Taoist practices have included public self-drowning, self-cremation. The goal of this spectrum of practices, like other religions, was to reach the divine and get past the immortal body. According to Stephen S. Hudson, asceticism continues to be a part of modern Taoism. Let's see Nietzsche's view. In the further essay, What do ascetic ideals mean? From his book On the Genealogy of Morals, Friedrich Nietzsche discusses what he terms the ascetic ideal and its role in the formulation of morality along with the history of the will. In the essay, Nietzsche describes how such a paradoxical action as asceticism might serve the interests of life. Through asceticism, one can overcome their desire to perish from pain, despair, and attain mystery and attain mastery over oneself. In this way, one can express both resentment and the will to power. Nietzsche describes the morality of the ascetic priest as characterized by Christianity as one where finding oneself in pain or despair and desiring to perish from it, the will to live causes one to place oneself in a state of hibernation, a denial of a material world, in order to minimize that pain and thus preserve life. Yeah, that's correct. A technique which Nietzsche locates at the very origin of the secular science as well as of religion, the associated ascetic ideal of Christian decadence. Okay, so what's up? So certainly, Nietzsche doesn't like asceticism, and in the same article there is on the see also section there is abstinence, asceticism, altruism, anatta, Arthur Schopenhauer,